Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Geek Things Podcast, the first and inaugural Geek Things Podcast. I am your host, Lewis, and with me is my co-host extraordinaire from the state of New York, Tony.
How you doing? Thank you for having me. It's going to be fun. We're excited. We talk about a bunch of good stuff, and hopefully everybody has a good time.
Hopefully everybody has a good time. You have some beers, maybe a cigar. Everybody just relax like gentlemen. And if you're a lady that enjoys those things, please be a gentle lady. Thank you. So, Geek Things Podcast, I've been meaning to get this up for a long time. It's been a passion project for myself. So what's going to happen? Geek Things Podcast is about exactly what it says. It's about geek things. It's about video games. It's about movies. It's about movie quotes. It's about talking about dumb things like wrestling. We are adults. We are adults, but we do like kid things like wrestling. We take it very seriously. What do you have to say about that, Tony?
We're going to talk about wrestling like we talk about Game of Thrones as a television show that we dig into deeper than we probably should.
Hold on. My nipple just got hard.
And
anyways,
that's exactly what we do with Game of Thrones, with Walking Dead, with any other show you can think of that is geeky. We're into it.
Well, that's awesome. So what have you been doing lately?
I know you're not a big soccer fan. But I've been playing the FIFA
I think it's called football. Okay,
sorry,
only assholes say soccer. Sorry.
Just been playing FIFA like a madman. And if you are a FIFA gamer, Team of the Year is out right now. So it's a really good time to buy players on the transfer market. If you have extra coins laying around, you can get guys for like half price, build up your team. If you're a fan of Twitch, you're seeing all these pack opening videos of Team of the Year people spending millions of coins to get Ronaldo, Messi, Robin, who sell for 3 or 4 million coins. So now's the time if you're a FIFA gamer. That's been my game of choice lately. A little Grand Theft Auto 5 that we were jumping on last night.
Yes.
And that's been it on the gaming end. TV-wise, it's kind of an off-season right now. Walking Dead is in a break. I kind of fell out of Walking Dead a little bit. Have you been watching?
No, I got into it late because I'm the kind of guy who goes, oh, a lot of people like this? Screw that. I ain't watching it. So I started and I got to, I think, midway through maybe season 2-ish. And then it was to a really good point. And I was like, I don't feel like spending the time to watch it is the problem. So, I'm out of it for sure.
I think that was probably a good time to jump out. This is probably an unpopular opinion, but where are you in the timeline of Shane? The character Shane, is he...
Oh, hold on. Who is Shane?
No spoilers, but anyway, after that, it kind of, there's a lot of drag out. There's a lot of length for no reason, and that's what bugs me about movies, too. But especially TV shows where you have a season of 16 episodes, but you could really condense that down to 4, and that's kind of what I feel like has been happening with Walking Dead. But show-wise, again, it's sort of mid-season for the big Game of Thrones will be back in April, which I'm really pumped for, obviously.
Every year. It's like
every
April?
Year,
it's like waiting for baseball season again. You're like, exactly. Oh, when's it coming back?
So that's about it for me. What about on your end?
Well, I've been playing a little bit of Grand Theft Auto. I stopped playing for a little while, games in general, for some reason. I was playing a ton of Shadow of Mordor on the PS4 and a ton of Destiny, and it's just kind of slowed down for me. Right now, actually, the game I'm playing the most would actually, other than Grand Theft Auto 4, or 5, excuse me, would actually be Duke Nukem 3D, the Megaton Edition, which is available for free, I think, to PlayStation Plus members for PlayStation Vita and PlayStation 3. It's like a time capsule. It's like going back to it, going, I love this game. I remember being a kid in 90 whatever, going, oh, there's ladies dancing, there's strippers. Oh my goodness, this is amazing. Because back then there was no ladies. You had to either watch TV or hope that somebody found this magical piece of material that you're like, oh, it's a woman. It just, and back in that day too, if you had the internet, it was, well, let me download this. It's going to take about 10, 15 minutes, and then it'll be a single picture. So that's, it's a little nostalgic for me, but that's kind of what I guess I've been doing, other than just buying retro games, which is my passion project is buying old school games. I just labeled all my N64 games. And then I noticed how many WWF, WCW games I had, and I was like, oh, it's the best. That was back in the day where 4 people just sitting in a room just beating the shit out of each other digitally, and it was great. Now it's all online.
That was multiplayer. You had to have people together on the couch with
4 screens. Well, but at least the wrestling, you didn't have to have the 4 screens. It was just everybody just watching it. You're beating the crap out of people with stop signs for some reason, and all that stuff. Where do they get stop signs from?
They put them in under the ring, so that when wrestlers walk down the ramp, they know to not go. Don't continue. Stop here. That's what it's for.
Because it just didn't make any sense. It was like I guess I understand maybe a trash can. I understand maybe tables. I guess why do they have so many tables in the first place? There's no tables anywhere else other than the announcer tables, and chairs maybe, I guess, for the randos. But it's like, let's put a sledgehammer down there and maybe a thumbtacks, whatever, just in case we need them.
The kendo stick. You never know when you're going to need a kendo stick to put the ring together with.
I can't not think about, when somebody says kendo stick, I can't not think Steve Blackman. It's just something about it. You're like, oh, Steve Blackman. I remember Steve Blackman.
Steve Blackman. And don't forget the Sandman.
Yeah.
More of an ECW.
ECW thing for sure.
WWE a little bit.
Yeah. But, the drunk guy.
yeah, basically. The Steve Austin gimmick.
I remember watching that on the WWE Network, where it was just like, yeah, he basically just hit himself on the head and drank beers. He didn't really know how to wrestle.
The entrances were longer than the matches, probably for a reason.
Yeah.
Smoking a cigarette on the way to the ring through the crowd.
But that was the. Well, I mean, it wasn't the WWE Attitude Era, but that was like just everybody was angsty and just wanted to have something crazy happen. So it was just anything you could do to be different and outlandish and crazy. It worked. It was money. Here. It was crazy.
It was the 90s. Everyone was angry in the 90s. Looking back on it now.
Limp Bizkit. If anybody's not heard the $3 Bill album, go check it out. It was before it got too rap rocky. It was just basically him just screaming. Was basically that album.
Before Chocolate Starfish and hot dog flavored water. That was the other CD.
Yeah,
that I had. I'm not afraid to admit that.
No, I had all the Limp Bizkit albums. It was $3 Bill, and then it was the other one where he's kind of like a illustrated, like he's like doing some kind of weird like ghetto like fingers move thing or something. I forgot what it was called, but that one's the one that had the song with Method Man. What else? That wasn't. I don't remember what was on that album. I really don't. It's a long time ago. Good. Good, look it up. But then they had the next CD after that. Man, they were big.
Significant Other.
Significant Other. There you go. The funny thing about those albums is, to me, I think about like being in high school and like girlfriends and stuff like that. While I was listening to this, I was dating this girl or doing some kind of like, oh, you were dating this girl for one day and you never really even talked to her, and then you guys broke up for. It was like, what? I was like, I don't even, dude. Being a kid was just nuttiness. It was like you never even saw them or were able to talk to them because text messaging took like an hour to send one text message. Those stupid phones.
The Nokia brick phone.
Yeah, the candy bar. All right, was it candy bar?
It sounds fancy.
But anyways,
candy bar.
Yes, and it was crazy because you're like, I need a faceplate for my phone. I need a faceplate. I need a cool faceplate. You don't do faceplates anymore. Now it's just cases, but click 2 plastic pieces of whatever together. It's like, hey, I got my Dolphins one. That's so cool.
I gotta play Snake.
I gotta play Snake. Was awesome. Snake's still good. It's just like one of the things. I could play Tetris right now. It's still a great game. Snake's great. Oh man. So, I guess we wandered on the crazy path long enough. I guess so. We're gonna go into a couple news topics here that we're gonna talk about. We got some game topics, and we also got a little bit of TV and a little bit of wrestling. I hope you guys like TV. Hope you guys like wrestling, and I hope you guys like video games because I love all those 3 of those things, and I'm pretty sure Tony likes all those things.
Yes.
So first off, remember that. So basically, with the Xbox One, they came out to market at $500. It's like, hey, $500. You get yourself the Xbox One, a controller, and the Kinect that everybody loves so much, and everybody shat on it. Obviously, with the sales of both the Xbox One and the PS4, just nothing. It did nothing. Shat the bed immediately.
Yeah, it's one of those things that is really it is a great idea. I mean, to be able, and I should preface this with, I bought an Xbox One, had it for 3 months, sold it, bought the PS4, and haven't looked back. That's not to say anything bad about the Xbox One or the Kinect. It just felt like...
Say it.
It felt like it's too much for me to use. I wasn't using it for everything that it was. I would find myself switching the inputs around and just watching TV regularly when the whole point is to put it through the Xbox One. So the convenience of being able to say, watch ESPN or watch Fox Sports 1 is great, but it just felt like a clunky setup to do that. So, and again, it's been about a year since I got rid of it, so maybe it's come farther. I can't say anything negative about it. I just felt like for me, also owning a Roku and owning other things that did the media aspect, PS4 was the way to go. And that was on your recommendation, I have to say. You're the one telling me right from the get-go to get a PS4.
I was like, I'm not playing my Xbox One. The operating system's clunky and crazy, and what's going on, and the party chat, and what did they do? They did so well with the 360, and then they're like, I got this cool thing called the Xbox One. We're going to change everything. We're going to tweak it, and hopefully make it better, but at the same time make it worse. So I don't know what the hell they did. But anyways, so they lowered the price relatively recently. Well, back before then, I think they took out the Kinect out of the system and like, hey, $400. So it's gonna be the same price as the PS4. Which actually they obviously, I mean, I would have been okay with dropping $100 less. So that was a great idea for them. So, but after that, recently when the holidays came, they dropped it to $350. It's like, hey, $350, it's a temporary price cut. I was like, okay. And it was very like, I know the gaming media was like, is this going to be, is this an actual price cut? Is this promotion? They're like, well, you know, like they like to do. I don't know.
Buy it now and we'll let you know.
It may be limited time. I don't know. So they just recently put it back up to $400, which I don't know why, because they beat the PS4 in sales in November, and the information just came out that they beat it December. It's like, why on earth would you bring the price of the the Xbox One back up? But hey, it's back down to $350, kids. Congratulations, you did it. We won.
Popular demand has been successful. Yeah, I think I mean, like you said, it was working. People are buying it. With Xbox, what really hurt them was all the bad publicity of how they went about it when the system launched. First, with the whole you have to always be online, and then the not being able to resell games, and then it kind of just backtracked everything from summer of 2000, what would that be, 13, I guess, when they first announced that. So they were already behind the eight ball so far, where PlayStation came out basically as like, we're your friends, gamers, and we're here for you, and we're going to hit this all in the head. Everything's going to be perfect. So Xbox was already behind the eight ball, so they had so much catching up to do, and then they tried to force the Kinect on to people, which it wasn't in the idea was good. The implementation, I think, was bad, of having to use the Kinect, having to always have it on you and listening, which, you know, some people are nervous about, the like NSA checking on you. That wasn't my concern really, because I wasn't doing anything very exciting, but so they were already at this big disadvantage. So to be able to make up ground like they have on the PlayStation has been a big success. And I think them dropping the price is definitely the way to go. And this is probably going to be the price moving forward, I would imagine. I mean, once you lower it and then 2 weeks later or raise it and then 2 weeks later you lower it again, this is kind of what the expectation is going to be for consumers.
This is one of those. I mean, Microsoft has done a un-Microsoft job when it comes to marketing their product, and as well as sticking behind their product as far as just being, I don't know, trustworthy and honest. I mean, not that they're dishonest to people, but it's like, well, I don't know, it's this price now, it's this price. Oh, we made a mistake. Not so. It's like, you guys, it might not be the console for me because you guys aren't running things as way I want. I mean, obviously you can say bad things about PS4 or not even PS4 really, the Sony side of things. I mean, their infrastructure on their online side is not as good as far as security goes, stuff like that. But I mean, not that the DDoS thing is anything that can be. It's hard to defend against that. But Microsoft was able to come back from it quicker because their infrastructure is better. So I think that, unfortunately, really helped them for Sony side. Really helped them when it comes to the sales. So the sales might have helped a little bit towards the end with this whole thing. Well, actually, I mean, that happened in January though, so whatever. But to skip ahead actually, because we're on that note, talking about DDoS. They made an arrest in England a couple weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, from one of the hackers. They didn't really arrest him for the hack. I believe it was for something else. But they have arrested another hacker responsible for the DDoS attacks against the PSN, the Xbox Live. I believe they also hit World of Warcraft and groups like that. But he is related to the cyber attacks, and the UK arrested a teenager allegedly connected to the Lizard Squad group that claimed responsibility. So, England rocks. Let's just say it. England knows. They know what's going on.
Yeah, that whole thing was, I mean, I was frustrated around the Christmas season not being able to connect online. And really, even though so many games are not, there's not a forced online, but there sort of is, because a lot of the modes that you like to play, especially in the sports games, you have Ultimate Team, which everybody likes to play. You have, if you bought a new PlayStation now, it's basically useless for, what was it, 3 or 4 days after Christmas before you could use it. So, and then for the Lizard Squad people to act as though they were doing this sort of in allegiance with gamers to show that Sony and Xbox their systems aren't good, so we're doing this to take down the big giant. But really it was like, well, I just want to play my PlayStation, so I don't really care what point you're trying to make. So it's good that they're taking this seriously and putting this out there. And because really on top of the inconvenience for gamers, there were people that had to go in on Christmas to fix this issue, or to be working, or people that lost money. Sony lost revenue. I know no one really cares about the big giants that lost money, but it's a real legal issue. So it's good that they're being serious about it.
I mean, the other thing, I think I saw some interview that I think it was a UK news crew. They were face to face, not face to face, but maybe like Skyping one of the members. He was showing his face and stuff, which is I think is stupid, but he was just saying, like, kind of like telling them like defending why he did it, and it was kind of like some kind of, well, why is everybody, really what they should be doing? They should be spending time with family, and they should be doing this. They shouldn't be worried about this, blah blah blah. It's like, it's not your place to tell people how they should be spending their time. I mean, kids, not 5, like 10-year-olds or whatever, they got a PS4 or an Xbox One for Christmas. I mean, it's like, they want to play online. You're ruining even not adults, but like young kids. I mean, they're going to play video games. The parents want them to play video games. We're trying to have some wine on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. Just please play your games. Shh, quiet. But they probably getting yelled at. I can't play Call of Duty. This thing's not working. My Lego Superheroes game is not working because I can't connect to the thing. It's like, oh.
No, everybody loses.
Gotta have the internet. So, I mean, luckily, props to the UK police services that they were able to apprehend this fugitive and bring them to justice, because they are, to lack of a better term, douchebag.
Well, and you know what I think was funny about it too is it almost, in one of the interviews, I can't remember which lizard it was, who said, if they would just hire me, I would fix this instantly. So it was almost like this is their way to try to get a job from Sony, saying, look what I did, and now you can employ me. And that's obviously not going to happen. So it was good that it's going down the way that it has.
Unfortunately, some companies have set a precedent of being like, oh, you were a hacker? Yeah. Oh, you can work for us. And then it gets publicized, and other people are like, well, if I hacked this company, I could do that too. I can steal credit card information, and now I will work there. It's like, it's a bad precedent, especially now with everything being digital, everything being on computers. It's like, well, maybe we shouldn't do that. So, whatever. So let's we're gonna get off the topic of video games for now. We're gonna talk a little bit about the years 2015, 2015. First off, was anybody else thrown off watching the New Year's Eve, programming, and then people have the glasses? I'm like, does that say 2005?
I was very thrown off by that. I'm glad you bring that up because every picture I saw, I'm like, is this like a hashtag TBT that I missed out on? What's going on here?
TBT, bro. Throwback Thursday or Tuesday. I mean, who knows?
Depends. Use it freely.
Those are very good. I wear those. Anyways, so I was like, man, they were just trying to get. They're like, oh, we got to figure out a way to get this glasses thing done. Which for 10 years we were kicking ass. Now that goddamn one has screwed us over.
Yep.
So just wedge the one in there. Don't worry about it. But it is 2015. And you've probably seen the memes all over the internet. Back to the Future Part 2 takes place partially in the year 2015. So this is the year. We did it.
I'm just glad that there are finally real memes out there, because it seemed like every October there would be the meme that this is the day that Marty McFly lands or whatever, goes to the future. It's like, no, it actually wasn't that. It's 2015. So we're finally there. And how accurate are we?
Well, I haven't flown in a car yet. I have seen cars on like internet be like, oh, it's got wings and it's like actually a plane. That doesn't count. I've only worn one tie, not the double tie. I can't put a little pizza in a thing and that turns into a big pizza. What else were they doing on the? There were so many things in that. They actually no hoverboards yet, but I have seen the video of not the fake one, but the real one. Tony Hawk was like, I'm sorry, I made this video. It was a hoax, but this one's actually real. It barely comes off the ground, and it's, but it's coming along. And then what else did they got?
Now there was the hologram shark, which we didn't get, but
we got better.
Tupac.
That was better.
Yeah, and Michael Jackson, actually.
Michael Jackson. I remember that. Also, the other thing, we have the shoes, actually. They made those shoes, the self-lacing shoes. So we're close. We're getting, baby steps. It's all about baby steps. But we don't have the self-drying jacket yet.
No, I was just going to bring that up. We don't have that, which would be awesome.
Your jacket is now dry. That'd be awesome if it was like Christopher Walken or something like that. Your jacket's now dry. It's like, wow, thanks, Chris. That'd be great.
Now, I did find an article which explains the accuracies of Back to the Future Part 2. One of them, it says, is hands-free video games, which we sort of have with Kinect and the PlayStation Eye.
Whoa. You've got to calm down. It's called a PlayStation Camera.
Sorry, I'm last gen. Let me zoom back in.
PS2 and PS3. They use the same name for both.
Cubs winning the World Series did not happen.
Did not happen, but they did play the Miami team, which is exciting.
Miami baseball team.
Miami was in there,
was in there too.
It was close.
Remote controlled camera on a wire. I mean,
well, football.
Yeah,
we got it. We're in there. That's weird. What are we? 3-ish for 100. All right, great. It's just not working. Everybody's driving flying cars. The cars kind of hover on the ground. Man, I really want. We're not wearing those clothes that Biff and his boys are wearing either. I mean, like metal helmets with spikes and all kinds of crazy crap.
Yeah, it's weird. Every movie where they show the future, the clothing is so different. But really, when you look at like the last 150 years, clothing has pretty much not changed at all.
No. I actually watched Total Recall, the newer version that came out, and I was like, hey, they're all kind of actually wearing regular people clothes. I was like, that's cool. Yeah. I like that. So, they'll figure it out. Jesus. But one thing that they did get right, granted, they got the years wrong. In the one scene where Marty McFly is talking to his boss in Japan, he sends him a little piece of paper through a little machine-a-majig that says you're fired on it. That, my friends, is called a fax machine. I know it is 2015. So maybe people listening to this right now haven't seen a fax machine or ever used one. You put a paper in a machine, and then it shows up on the other end where the other person receives it. It's kind of like an email, but paper.
And it goes through a phone line.
A phone line. We used to use those when we worked at Verizon, which was very exciting. I used to work at a Sears where I had to send invoices or something to a dude to install water heaters and like garage door openers. So yeah, I don't like fax machines. They're really stupid.
Yeah, it's funny how in such a short time. I mean, that movie came out 30 years ago, Back to the Future.
Well,
Back to the Future 2 was a little later, but in that short time, the thing that they predicted actually got really popular and then completely faded away. So now no one wants to use it anymore. It's too old school.
Yeah. But I mean, that movie's great though. That's like one of the better. I think. I mean, 89. It came out in 89. FYI.
Okay.
So. Oh man, I really need to watch the movie. I need to get on Blu-ray. One of those deals, because that's like, other than Back to the Future 3, which is okay.
Yeah, I mean, but I think if you just erase it from your memory and 2 was the end, and then that was one of the rare good sequels that comes. Well, that's a whole other topic we can get into at another time.
Well,
the sequel debate. Like, for instance, for me, The Hangover, there were no 2 and 3. Just one, and that was the end. I've never even heard of 2 and 3.
I've never seen 2 and 3, so it doesn't matter. I guess I kind of kept it that way.
Yeah, I saw 2, and I thought, let's see, and all the jokes were the same, and I was like, no, I'm going to erase this. And I saw 3 also, which actually wasn't that terrible, but let's just leave 1, and that's it. It's the greatest comedy ever, and let's just shut it off at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, some people say, "Oh yeah, Star Wars 1, 2, and 3." It's like, stop being a baby. Okay, you got Star Wars movies. You're alive to see them in theaters. Just calm down. Everybody likes to bitch and moan about it. It's Star Wars. Be happy that you got something.
Mm-hmm.
Just like with Indiana Jones, I personally like the Crystal Skull. I don't really care. I watch it because Harrison Ford is on screen, being Indiana Jones. I don't care. He's the best.
And then there's levels of good to bad in terms of sequels. Like, some are a no-brainer, and then you have others where, like a movie like Indiana Jones or Star Wars, or they're sort of epic and they feel like they need more than one movie. Where other movies like I don't want to say Gremlins. Did we need Gremlins 2?
Whoa.
We did have
Gremlins 2. I love Gremlins 2. Listen here, brother. People will pay so they can eat hot popcorn, and you're up there, and I'm gonna come over there, and oh, that scene, I was always like, ooh, Talkster. He's in a movie like this. Is amazing.
This is a real movie too, not a straight to DVD or VHS back then.
Like, I like that. That's the one time the Gremlins listen to a human. They're like, oh, we'll play the movie. I'm sorry. We're sorry, Hawkster. We're sorry,
big,
bro.
Tan, very leathery.
Well, I don't think he was that leathery back then, though. He wasn't there yet. Now he's just like, oh man, you could just like start doing the Red Dead Redemption. We're like, cut him off and hang him up. You're like, all right, we can use that later. That's something. Oh man. I mean, but as far as that goes, I mean, the Star Wars movies. Have you seen the teaser trailer for that?
Yeah, I did.
I was like, say yes. Say yes, motherfucker.
Say yes. When is that going to be
it's coming out in December. I'm pretty sure it's December. But it's this year. I'm really excited. We have a couple other things that we could talk about, but it doesn't matter. We're going to talk a little bit more about movies, I think. Star Wars, I loved it. It was like, oh, Star Wars. This is going to be great. I was excited until, you got the assumably a Sith Lord or something like that, or like that. He's like, the darkness and the light, and then bam, the Star Wars song comes on. The Millennium Falcon's like, I was like, I teared a little bit. I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. And then there's like TIE fighters, and you're hearing the sounds. It's like, because in 1, 2, and 3, it wasn't really like, you didn't really hear that stuff. It wasn't, TIE fighter noises, X-wing noises. I was like, oh, it's like pulling my hair out. I was like, why isn't it 2015 December? Oh, it was so. That's really something to look forward to this year. It's just going to be amazing.
Well, with so many technological advancements too, since when was the last movie? 10 years ago,
It's
more?
probably more than that.
Yeah.
So actually, I know because a friend of mine in college got me a bootleg CD disc of it, and that was a little bit after the movie came out, and that was probably like 2003, 2004. So it might have been 2003, 2004. So 10 years is about 10 years then. Yeah, you're right.
Okay. I'm actually looking it up now because I want factual accuracies.
Yeah, something like that.
But yeah, so in that time, whoops, that's the first one. In that time since that came out, there's been so much more CGI advancements, and cinema quality is so much better now with the cameras they're using and all different stuff like that. So that brings an extra level to it right off the top. Then you have J.J. Abrams, who everybody knows all the great things that he's done. So it should be pretty exciting. But yeah, there's a lot of good movies out there. The Oscars are coming up. I tweeted earlier today that I want to still see Foxcatcher. Have not seen that. Birdman, still haven't seen that. And American
Harvey
Sniper,
Birdman,
which just came out. Yeah, Harvey Birdman.
Yes,
I have seen that.
Make that a movie, please.
That would be awesome. And American Sniper just opened this weekend, and did huge, mega gangbusters numbers. So 3 movies that all 3 actors are nominated for Oscars that I want to see. Have you seen any of those 3?
No, I'm not the moviegoer Oscar kind of guy. I'm the comic book movie, comedy, or whatever my wife takes me to.
These aren't. Let's see. These aren't your typical Oscar movies. I guess I would say like Foxcatcher's about the Schultz brothers, amateur wrestlers in the '90s. Birdman is sort of Michael Keaton's life story. I guess he plays a guy who was in a big superhero action movie who has sort of gone away from the fame and stardom, and Michael Keaton kind of did that on his own, not because he wasn't getting parts, and now he's back. So that's the story of that. And then obviously American Sniper is the true story everybody knows about, but it's not like The Artist or anything like that.
One thing I would say, if anybody out there likes Michael Keaton, there's one episode that he's in of a TV show. I love this TV show, but he is phenomenal in it. The TV show 30 Rock. It's like, I think the second last season, he plays like a maintenance guy in the building, and he is just hilarious. They give him phenomenal lines. He executes them like great. He is just great in that. So I recommend it.
People forget, maybe not everybody, I shouldn't say, I forget how funny Michael Keaton is, because Beetlejuice was a comedic part for him. Have you ever seen Johnny Dangerously?
I own that movie on DVD.
Excellent.
I remember watching it with my sister. I love that movie.
Great movie. Hilarious movie that he's in. Multiplicity was a funny movie that he was a part of.
Hey, Thief.
And then don't forget the other guys as the police chief.
The other guys? What's the other guys? No.
Yeah, I've never heard of this movie. So yeah, it's nice to see him back in like a big part, because he kind of did sort of go away from the spotlight for a while, from the big movies after. Multiplicity was late 90s, and then sort of just went away for a little bit. So it's good to see him back in the big spotlight. I've always been a big Michael Keaton fan. Michael
Keaton's great. I mean, the Batman movies, it was like, oh, it's Bat. Still, for me, he's the best Batman that's been on TV, or not TV, been in movies. I mean, I could understand somebody saying Adam West being the best. I really like Adam West. I mean, he was great as Batman in the 60s too. But I think Keaton is my Batman that I see in my head as Batman, as Michael Keaton.
You don't like the Christian Bale voice?
No, because it's like, who told him to do that? Seriously, who said? You know,
everyone I've ever said that to is like, it's because he wants to have a different voice so people don't know who he is.
Well, Michael Keaton did the same thing, but he didn't sound like an asshole. Yeah, he was like, "Hey, I'm Batman," and he's like,
"Not wearing."
Hi, how you doing? I don't have nipples on the suit. Don't worry about it. Nipplegate. Was that George Clooney's Batman costume had nipples?
It was Batman and Robin, right? So yeah, that was Clooney. And Chris O'Donnell. Nipples everywhere in that movie.
Who was the worst movie Batman? It's got to be either George Clooney, I'm sure, or Val Kilmer.
Yeah, because I mean, even though Bale had the voice, the movies were good.
The movies were fine, and he looked the part. He looked like whatever. I'm gonna say Val Kilmer was the worst, just because I'm very literal. I'm pretty sure that Bruce Wayne is dark haired, is like a brownish haired. So I'm the kind of guy that's like, if he's brown haired in the comic book, he better be damn well brown haired in the movie, okay?
Yeah, I think I agree. I think Clooney fit the Bruce Wayne character
Mhm.
of being like the debonair, suave sort of guy. I mean, not that Kilmer was the Val Kilmer that he is now, that everybody knows him as, but yeah, I'm gonna go with Kilmer on that one too. So
But what I was gonna say was, like, you see that Batman and that Bruce Wayne, and you're like, is that Iceman? What's going on? What's Iceman doing? Why is Iceman in Batman? This doesn't make any sense. And Clooney, I don't go like, oh, it's ER. What's ER doing? I don't give a shit about that. He did an okay job, and O'Donnell was pretty good, I thought, as a Nightwing / Robin guy. He wasn't that bad.
Those were just so weird. Like, they went from the first two Batman movies were
they're pretty serious. They're serious but dark.
And then 3 and 4, it was just like, whoa, we're just going way out.
We need people painted in neon and just like, we're gonna look out. Oh my God, it's Arnold Schwarzenegger. Stay cool and all that crap.
All the puns, so many puns.
Oh, but Arnold Schwarzenegger has made his career on puns, so it is what it is.
Yeah.
Stick around.
I did like Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face, though. Now, I did
he was great
as Two-Face in the newer movies. Is that his name, Aaron Eckhart? Yeah. As the the more realistic Two-Face
that's what
depiction. But Tommy Lee Jones was great, and I thought Jim Carrey did a good job too. That was the mid-90s height of Jim Carrey. Also,
I think I heard the story that Jim Carrey and Tommy Lee Jones for some reason hates or hated Jim Carrey. So really? Something about that relationship he was like, it was just, he did not like me. Wow. So that was interesting, because I was like, Jim Carrey, you would think everybody would like him, but I'm guessing Tommy Lee Jones kind of like a no nonsense, like, why are you smiling? Don't smile. Stop smiling, asshole.
And Jim Carrey could be the guy to like take over a scene. I feel like too, like it's all about me sort of deal. So maybe he didn't like that.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to talk a little bit about more about movies, but we're gonna forego that, and we're gonna talk about I don't know about number one passion, but lately it's been my number one passion. That is wrestling, good old fashioned wrestling. Oh my God! Do you see what's happening over there? And all that craziness. So you were gonna say something. I saw it in your face. What are you gonna say?
Well, before we start, I just want to, because I get a lot of tweets about this stuff. When I tweet about wrestling, I'll get this is fake, right?
It's not fake, bro. It's predetermined, dude.
Obviously, we know this.
Unless you're talking about
show that we're discussing, so let's just get that out in the open right now.
It's predetermined until you're in Montreal. You might get screwed.
Oh,
Montreal screw job.
Good reference.
If you want to spit in your boss's face, that's the time to do it. Montreal. So yes, it's fake, it's whatever, but they're athletes. They're trying to put on a show, and that's really what it is. So the WWE announced that the first member of the 2015 inductees to the Hall of Fame is going to be none other than Macho Man Randy Savage. Clap, everybody. Thank you. So, long time coming. Macho Man just holds a special place in a lot of wrestling fans' hearts. He was the best. Nothing else you can say about it.
Now, what I did think was funny is I don't know if you get the WWE text messages. Like they'll send out news.
Oh, they don't have my number, I don't think. I mean, I tried call them, but they don't answer.
I was like, Vince, get me on the list now. So early in the day on Monday, they sent out a text through the news service that says, WWE is expected to announce Macho Man Randy Savage in the Hall of Fame. So it's like, why are you pretending that you were like? I get when NFL Network does that, because they're not really, they're reporters that are working NFL, so for the NFL Network. But anyway, so they tried to tease it like it was this big thing. Obviously, they were trying to draw people away from the national championship football game. So I thought that was funny. But anyway, back to the actual news. It's a long time overdue, big time. I mean, the only bad thing about it is I wish they had done this 6 years ago, so Macho Man could have been there, and it would have been a great. I mean, look with Ultimate Warrior last year, where he got to reconcile with Vince and Hogan and all these people that he had talked all this trash about, and they had talked trash about him and done terrible things, and you get to reconcile. And as luck would have it, or bad luck would have it, that was the last weekend of his life, so it was a perfect story almost. But I just wish he was around for it. But it'll be great to see. I'm a little confused about Hogan being the one to induct him into the Hall of Fame.
But wait, I mean, Hogan said, okay, that they reconciled things before Macho
Never
died.
told
So
a lie in his life. Hulk Hogan.
He's not a bullshitter. He is not the kind of guy that would make up stories in order to make himself look good.
Never has once done that. Yeah. So yeah, it's great Macho Man. I think the rumor is that his brother, the genius Lanny Poffo, is going to be the one that, and that makes sense. Some people said on Twitter that they're going to have Hogan induct him so that Lanny can do the speech. So that makes sense if you're going to have someone kind of set up Lanny to talk. So we'll see if that's what happens, but it'll be great. I think it'll be, hopefully we get the Hulk Hogan, the great promo Hulk Hogan, and not the put myself over Hulk Hogan, and hopefully it'll be a good speech.
I mean, it's just, I almost, in some respects, I'd say that, he should have been in the Hall of Fame before Hulk Hogan ever was, as far as wrestling goes. I mean, because, what does Hulk Hogan do? He does a punch, he does a leg drop. I mean, it's like, what does he really do? He has no other move other than a leg drop. I mean, how lame is that? I mean, granted, I don't think Macho Man has a ton of moves either, but he is well-rounded. He's a high flyer. He can move. He was, he had a presence. He had this character, and Hulk Hogan's just a character, basically, I think.
Well, I think Macho Man, really, when you look back, I think he kind of started the trend of like the Shawn Michaels and the Bret Hart and the smaller guys that could be champions. Because before Macho Man, you had Hogan, you had Andre the Giant, like everyone had to be this Vince McMahon's image of this 6'5" and taller, big muscle bound guy. And Macho Man came by and was, I don't know the exact height, but probably 6 feet tall, around that height, like Shawn Michaels or a Bret Hart, same sort of body type and everything. So it sort of started that transition to a more athletic style, because Macho Man WrestleMania 4 was the WWF title tournament where Macho Man won the title, and that was 1989, I think. So that was an era where small guys like that weren't even in the main event picture. It was all Intercontinental title, maybe tag teams, and that's it. So Macho Man comes in, sort of starts that transition, and then 4 or 5 years later, you get the Shawn Michaels, the Bret Hart, even down the line now to CM Punk or Daniel Bryan, who are average sized people.
And he won the world championship. For some reason in my head, I thought he never won the world championship before.
Yeah, he won. That was back when the shows were 6 hours long, and it was a huge tournament where the storyline was
1987. He won the King of the Ring tournament.
Okay.
And 1987 looks like.
And so the storyline was that Andre the Giant had won the title from Hogan and was going to give it to Ted DiBiase because he had bought it. $1 Million Man, of course, had bought the title, and President Jack Tunney said, "No, not up in here." And they had to forfeit the title, so they did a tournament, and Savage beat DiBiase in the final match. So that was what started the whole process. But yeah, I think there's a lot of guys out there that would say that. That's why I wish CM Punk was still around. Yeah, because I think he would be a great guy to induct Macho Man, because he obviously was a big influence on him.
Absolutely. Macho Man was great. He played baseball. He was signed by the St. Louis Cardinals. The guy's a total athlete, and you could see that in the ring. He was all over the place. He was doing that, the flying elbow, it was like butter. It's like, there he goes. Oh, it's like, oh man, it's like a home run swing, or the most beautiful quarterback touchdown pass. He had it. It is what it is.
So then the question becomes, who else are they going to put into the Hall of Fame this year? Because they're going to round. He's going to be the big marquee name.
He's the guy.
Without a doubt.
He is the Ultimate Warrior of this year, I guess. I don't think anybody was bigger than Ultimate Warrior than last year. So, but who is going to be that guy? I have some ideas myself. I think number one. I'm pretty sure number one. I think Owen Hart is definitely one of those guys that he should be in there. Everybody that's in the Hart Foundation should be there. Well, aside from maybe the Neidhart. he was a second banana, but
no love for the Anvil. Come on.
But actually, no. Everybody really would be in that once Owen went. No, we still got the British Bulldog, which is one of my guys. I think British Bulldog should be put in there as well. But Owen Hart, he just as good as Brett, I think, as far as in as a wrestler. Maybe Brett was a little bit better at the mechanical side, but he had all the tools to be great. But he was more of a, I can work the mic, I can be a character, I can just play ball better as far as what the wrestler it can be, larger than life figure. He was better at that.
Yeah, I never was a big Bret Hart promo guy. I never thought his promos were outstanding. I mean, they were okay. I mean, and a lot of people have said that Bret was more of a, he would have been a great guy to keep a manager with, and he goes out and does the technical wrestling aspect of it. But
he needed a Paul Heyman. That's what he needed.
He should have been a Paul Heyman guy. That would have been it. But yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised with the last couple of years they've inducted the Four Horsemen. They've inducted some stables over the years. So to have a Hart Foundation go in, because the one catch with Owen Hart is, and I don't know if this is still true, but I know at one time there was a lawsuit, and part of the settlement with his wife was that WWF WWE, excuse me, couldn't mention Owen Hart or use his name in merchandise or use him in any way. So I don't know if that is maybe part of the reason why Owen hasn't gone in the Hall of Fame yet. But if you do a Hart Foundation, you can maybe get around that and get those guys in. But yeah, I think you're right too about British Bulldog. I'd even throw Neidhart in there just for kicks. Get Natty out to do the speech.
I like her just because of that. I'm like, she is Hart Foundation blood, and I like her. Damn it, Heart of Gold, baby. I mean, really, the other people I'd say for their long careers would be the Hebner brothers. Their officials, calling the matches. They were just great, and they were twins too, which is another interesting thing about them. It was hard to tell which one was which. Who's calling the match right now? It's usually Earl, but but those guys were great. They called a good match.
I think one of the other ones that will be soon, maybe this year, would be either Kevin Nash, because Scott Hall and Hulk Hogan are both in the Hall of Fame. Razor Ramon, I'm sorry. I know that's what you like to refer to.
Thank you. He is Razor Ramon and always be, because my family, or my dad's side, is from Cuba. And so when I saw that guy, I was like, oh my God, he's like me. He's like my family. He's one of us. Razor Ramon. And he's got an accent that sounds kind of like my family.
And then you found out he was just like from
Scott Hall,
somewhere in Texas or something. No. But either Kevin Nash on his own, or you do an NWO.
You did Outsiders,
or the Outsiders. Yeah, you could do that too. Obviously, Kevin Nash is a Triple H buddy, so that helps when you're trying to get into the Hall of Fame. But I think he deserves it. I mean, the run he had as Diesel in WWF, which a lot of people compare Roman Reigns to right now.
Big Daddy Cool.
But then going to WCW and that whole angle, which just changed the game completely.
The game?
The history of wrestling.
Oh, okay. I thought you started with Triple H. My bad.
But the Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, the Outsiders into WCW, that whole storyline was like nothing that really had been done before. And that was a big part of it. And then he had a huge run. I mean, people talk about the backstage politics of him being on the booking committee, and but he was a big guy, could work the mic, and had a long run in WWE and WCW, and then back in WWE actually after WCW ended. So I could see him going in, and he would be a good guy who is a big name, but not going to surpass the status of a Macho Man. And really, there's nobody else out there left that's bigger than Macho Man that's not in, I don't think. I mean, who else is really... touches that level.
I haven't seen any names out there that would be like, oh, you're better than Macho Man. You definitely should be there. There's always somebody somewhere in the history that really deserves it. But from what I've seen on the list, everybody's there. The old guys, some of the old names that are there. I can't even think of anybody. You have Pretty Boy George and
Yeah,
the Von
Bruno
Erichs are
Sammartino.
there. San Martino's there, and I think San Martino didn't want to have anything to do with it for the longest time. And then he was
Yeah.
like, "All right, I'll go."
Yeah.
Fine.
Triple H brokered that deal, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because wasn't he trained by Bruno San Martino? That was somebody else, I think.
I think it was Killer Kowalski.
Killer Kowalski. He was part of Killer Kowalski's school. Yeah, that's right.
But Triple H is a big student of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Of the game.
The game.
Yeah.
That's why they call him that.
He's a big wrestling historian and appreciates the history of everything. So he was the big one that wanted Bruno in there, and again, it kind of goes along with the Ultimate Warrior thing of burying the hatchet, and same now with Macho Man. So it'll be an interesting year. But some other guys that I think could go in that we might see this year. Well, a lot of people have said this, that Miss Elizabeth would make sense this year because Macho Man, Miss Elizabeth, obviously they were, throughout their run in WWF, they were together. WCW, they were together for a little bit. The only thing I could see that maybe
damn it, Hogan, damn you,
is, in real life, Miss Elizabeth was with Lex Luger, and then she passed away. And so
what did she die of?
I believe it was a drug overdose.
So too bad. She was beautiful.
It's too bad. Yeah,
especially
she really
back
was
then,
the first diva, I guess, if you want to think of it that. I know they all say Sunny is the first diva, but she was the first valet and manager that had an impact and such a big impact like that.
Yeah,
so
she did. I mean, they did the whole Mary angle, and it was like women were crying when that happened.
Yeah.
Elizabeth, will you marry me? And women are just like, oh my god. People say, oh, it's fake. I was like, yes, it's fake, but it's just like anything else. People cry when they watch fucking soap opera. So it's like, come on. They can be emotional.
Yeah, but yeah, I'd love to see it. I think she deserves it. Definitely deserves to be in there. I mean, when you think of women in wrestling, she's one of the first 2 or 3 names that comes into your head. So I think she definitely should be in there, and it would make sense with Macho Man going in this year to put Elizabeth in there too.
But that Hogan's got lust in his eyes, I tell you the one thing. Lust in your eyes. I love that story because because that whole when he takes Elizabeth backstage, Hulk Hogan, because she got hit and he's carrying her, and Macho Man's like, what's going on, and they run back there, and then they're supposed to have this little fight or whatever. I think from what I saw, I think the Legends of Wrestling, that show on I think they were talking about it, and it might have been something else too, because they do. I watch so many these documentaries on WWE. No, but I think Hogan was like, we were supposed to do this, but it got real. It's just something snapped, and Macho snapped, and the argument that they were having on camera was real. He was very upset about something that Hogan did, and Hogan's like, what's going on? And he was talking about how the background workers that were back there were like, well, what's happening right now? What is going on? Is this part of it, or is this fake? It's like, and Hogan's like, it was not fake. He was pissed, and it was the craziest thing ever. It's like, man, they really had a bad spot for a long time. Yeah. So that's what makes it weird about him inducting him. It's like, well,
and I mean, Macho Man released the rap CD of the Hulk Hogan diss track and everything like that in 2002, maybe it was. So, and again, like you said, Hogan says that they were able to bury the hatchet, weeks before he passed away. Who knows if that's true? Hopefully it is. You hope that when someone passes on that everything is sort of resolved, but we'll see. I mean, I don't imagine that Vince McMahon is going to let Hulk Hogan just go out there and say, go out there with no script or no bullet points to these are the notes I want you to hit on. So hopefully the speech will be good, but I think it will be.
I think it will. I think it's going to be you try to make these things, you try to make amends, or you want to make amends. There'll be time. There's not always that time. I'm assuming that there might be something like that, whereas we had this thing and I made mistakes, and I just hope that somewhere Macho Man is, whatever. So hopefully that'll happen. I think that's almost about it as far as our Hall of Fame options. I mean, I think Michael P.S. Hayes would be a good in, just because I mean he's a backstage guy now, but he was part of another big tag team in the 80s, the Freebirds. I mean, it was a very hip, like, rock and roll type group that people really liked, and they were fun to watch, especially fighting the Von Erichs, who are in the Hall of Fame. So you would think, I mean, if they're as big as the Von Erichs are, I mean, it only makes sense for them, for at least one of them to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, it really is strange when you think about it, because and I just Google searched it too, because I'm like, they have to be in there already. But yeah, you're right. I mean, there's so many people out there that would point to Michael P.S. Hayes as being someone that they emulated, and tag teams especially, that they emulated the Freebirds, and that's something that they, used as a model to get over. And then also, like you mentioned, all the backstage stuff. Michael P.S. Hayes has been a backstage guy in WWE for 15 years. I mean, remember, he was Doc Hendricks back in the
he was Doc Hendricks
generation.
Also, he was the guy at the start of Stone Cold Steve Austin. He was on the mic going, "What? He just said that? This is ad-libbed. What is happening right now?"
And Stone Cold on his podcast has mentioned how Michael P.S. Hayes, because Austin actually got hurt and had to go in an ambulance, and so he came back, and Michael P.S. Hayes said, "Hey, Jake the Snake just cut this religious promo about you." And so if he hadn't told him that, the Austin 316 never would have happened. So
he should be in the Hall of Fame.
Lightning moment just for that. Yeah, Jesus. Definitely. But yeah, I think it is strange when you look back, especially the one that sticks out for me. The strange one that went in was Coco Beware, went in 2009.
He had a cool parrot, though.
Exactly. Nothing against Coco, but so a guy like that goes in, and it kind of lowers. Not, I shouldn't say that, but it lowers the bar a little bit of what is acceptable. But then when you see other guys like a Macho Man or like a Michael P.S. Hayes who isn't in yet, it makes you really scratch your head about what is, who's making these decisions. And ultimately, it's Vince McMahon, I'm sure, on his own.
Yeah, something like that. Aside that, I mean, maybe Bear Horowitz might make an appearance. The old slap in the back. I'm going to lose this match, but I got a cool jacket that has a handprint right on my back. This is going to be good. So,
talk about a different era where a guy who literally his job was to lose every single match got over and was popular. Now there's guys who they have them win all the time. They can't get popular.
Well, you know what's funny? The other day on what is it? Because they have the Ascension, right? The Ascension has come from NXT, and they're fighting guys. I was like, who are the guys that they're fighting? I was like, damn, Jobbers are back. I was like, Jobbers are back. I've never seen these guys before. Yes.
I thought it was so refreshing to me, and I was so excited, because I think that's part of the reason why the product now is so watered down, is because you paint yourself into a corner when you have to have a good match. Every match has to be two guys that aren't jobbers like those guys were. So when you have jobbers, you're like, oh wow, so it's such a relief. Like, you know what the purpose is, you know the goal that's trying to be accomplished, and you don't have to have a guy like a Dolph Ziggler lose just because you have another guy you want to put over too. So the whole Ascension thing, I mean, we can talk about that if you want. We can get into what they're doing with them, which I don't think is good right now.
I like the Ascension in NXT. I was like, man, this tag team is really cool. I've seen him in person. I was like, they're big guys. Connors, I was like, he's a pretty big guy. He's not. I was like, I was like thinking about the other day. I'm watching him. I was like, he's not very toned. He's kind of just like, bleh, but he's tall as shit. I was like, this guy's huge.
He's not into cardio. Doesn't do a lot of cardio.
But they're fun to watch. So I mean, they're going for some kind of weird Legion and Doom thing now. Like before, it was kind of Legion and Doomish, but then now they're like, maybe we'll put a little bit of shoulder pad type stuff, weird things on your back, and it's like, what's going on? You're gonna ruin them.
Yeah, I mean, it reminds me a little bit of with the Ryback thing. So Ryback came out back, whatever he was, and everyone chanted Goldberg, but he just ignored it. He just completely ignored it. And I mean, Ryback was pretty popular and is popular again coming back. This, they chose to, second weekend, we're going to acknowledge that you're chanting and you think we're the Road Warriors and the Demolition. And then for some reason, you're going to send these guys out who are still, I mean, how much of WWE's audience is watching NXT. Probably not a big percentage.
I mean, you could tell by the amount of times they have to reference
Exactly.
that it's $9.99 for the network.
Yeah. Yeah. So you have these guys come out and say, we're better than the Demolition. We're better than the Road Warriors. And I understand that you're using that as promo material. I know some people got upset that they were talking about, one of the guys in Road Warriors is dead, and how could you do that? I understand what they're trying to do, but it's like you just instantly bury yourself. And then you have JBL on commentary burying them too. And then they wonder why it's just crickets and everybody thinks they're a failure. And it's sad because probably in a month or two, they're going to be like Bo Dallas, who just faded off the face of the earth and is gone. And I thought that was a good gimmick too, actually.
Dude, to be honest with you, you said Bo Dallas, and I'm like smiling, but I'm like, who's Bo Dallas? I was like, oh, Bo Dallas. Yeah, he was he was fighting Adrian Neville months ago during a phenomenal title match, ladder match, and now they made him into some stupid character, and now we haven't seen him in 1,000 years because it was stupid. Hopefully, they're rebranding him or something is the reason why they dropped him off.
It's a shame because the character I thought had so much potential to be like when he first came in, it was he was so positive and optimistic that you just hated him for it. Like, this guy is so happy and proud of everything he does. I can't stand it. And then they just went away from it. Like, there was no. And same with Adam Rose is in the same boat, I think, right now.
I love Adam Rose though. It's like
the whole bunny gimmick of him fighting the bunny. I was actually excited for the payoff of who is this guy in the bunny suit. Like, it's gonna be great. And they just let it go. They didn't even. They haven't done anything with it.
They're slowly going heel turn with him, and then all of a sudden the bunny has not shown up, and now he's partnering with Cesaro and Tyson Kidd, which
Two other guys who have no future, it seems like.
Cesaro is. They were building him up to be the man. He gets Paul White, he takes him in that the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. He picks his ass up, throws him over the top rope. He's ready to skyrocket, and they're like, let's keep making him lose. He's not ready. As Vince says, he's not ready. Something's missing there. But sometimes he doesn't need to be this guy on the mic. He just needs to show that he's a decent wrestler who's very strong, that can pick up a 500-pound man and lift him over his goddamn head.
Yeah,
That's all you need.
That's all you need. That's all you need. In a way, and they did the Stone Cold podcast interview of Vince McMahon on WWE Network, and Vince McMahon refuses to acknowledge that it's wrestling, which I think is the root of this entire problem. That, it's entertainment, but people are watching this because they like wrestling. That's why they're watching this form of entertainment. So you have guys like Cesaro and Dolph Ziggler. They've done that for 2 or 3 years now. It's the whole, we're going to make you lose a bunch of weeks in a row to see if you can, the fans stay behind you. And for most people, the fans just give up because it's like, well, this guy sucks. That's what you're portraying out there. So, Cesaro, I mean, it seemed like he won the Battle Royal and he was ready to just rocket into the main event picture. He had the swing, the Cesaro swing everybody loved.
It's king of swing.
They just gave up. I don't know. It's very strange.
What I was hoping for is that okay, they're putting him with Tyson Kidd as a tag team duo. I'm starting to actually like Tyson Kidd a little bit, and his weird cat fetish that he has going on. But I was like, well, there are some wrestlers that have gone into tag team and actually, they actually developed, maybe not developed, but they got a little bit of a following. I mean, look at like a Stone Cold and I can't even think of Pittman. What is that? Brian Pillman. Brian Pillman. They hated the idea that they were tag teams, but then they started getting this distraction. Where would Shawn Michaels be if he wasn't in the Rockers? I mean, they blow up. So maybe Cesaro will blow up. Maybe both of them will blow up. I mean, who knows? I mean, he is married to the Hart Foundation, talking about Tyson Kidd. That's right. So, I mean, if it's Stu Hart, he's got to be passed on by now, right? He's passed on, right? I was like, man, he's got somebody. I mean, That's unfortunate though. That's one guy you would hope, as far as wrestling goes, that would live forever. Just make something happen to where he can live forever and just teach these people how to wrestle for the love of God.
Yeah. Well, that's the problem is that, and if you watch a show like NXT, where it's a very old school approach, we have an hour, we're gonna have 3 matches, we'll have a backstage interview, and boom, 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 everything is quick and cut and dry, and we're gonna use the wrestling matches to, like, look at the Adrian Neville and Sami Zayn whole series of matches. It's been old school, and the build originally was Sami Zayn can't win the title, and so you just use wrestling to get that over instead of comedy segments or Roman Reigns telling Jack and the Beanstalk stories like on Raw last week. So
they're screwing him up too.
It's definitely a strange time. It's a weird time in WWE. Now with Royal Rumble next week and then Road to WrestleMania starts, I think that's usually when they focus in and they really kind of hone in on what's good. But I don't know. Last year it was sort of the same thing. There was not a lot of the storylines weren't very good. Things were kind of shaky, and the Daniel Bryan thing just took them. And WrestleMania 30, I thought was a great show. So we'll see if that's what happens again this year.
Yeah, I watched WrestleMania 30 in a stock room in Verizon on the phone, so that was fun. With another big fan, Jeff. Jeff's a really cool guy. Hi, Jeff, if you're listening. Probably not, but anyways. I mean, right now, like, I look forward to every wrestling day, which is weird because I didn't watch wrestling for the longest time. I probably stopped around the time that Stone Cold ended wrestling in general. So, and then all of a sudden I'm watching it every week. And what happened to me that I'm watching wrestling now? I don't know. But my favorite day of the week is NXT day. I mean, the wrestlers are there. They're young. They're trying to prove something. They're trying to put on shows like no one's ever seen. And they have wrestlers that are just they're progressing where you just love watching them, like Baron Corbin. Charlotte's doing great. Adrian Neville's phenomenal. I don't really like Zayn, but Zayn puts on a hell of a match. There's so many guys there. The Vaudevillains even. I'm like, I like the Vaudevillains. They're pretty goddamn good. I almost wish that they would treat NXT like its own thing. They kind of are, but don't. NXT is NXT. It's another show. That's an offshoot of WWE, Raw, SmackDown, whatever, and it's its own thing where they don't necessarily mix. I think it would work. I don't know, but NXT even the announcers are better on NXT. The commentators, I'd rather listen to the commentators than NXT.
That's a big part of it, man. You have to give credit to Michael Cole because so much of what he does is not even, it's just talk about the Twitter and talk about our Instagram account, talk about Total Divas. And it's almost like Raw is an infomercial for all the other products that WWE has to offer. And then you have JBL, who is just, I like JBL a lot when he's a wrestling character or on a podcast or, an interview. But as an announcer, he just grinds on my nerves so much. And him and Cole together, and now Booker T, who adds no value at all to the broadcast.
But already, I think he's better than than either one of them.
Definitely,
I was like, he's actually not bad compared to the other two assholes that are calling matches.
So and especially and then if you listen to, we had talked about this, you probably haven't seen it yet, but Wrestle Kingdom 9, the New Japan show that was on January 3rd, I think. I haven't gotten through the entire show yet. I've watched matches here and there. Jim Ross did the announcing for the American broadcast.
Matt Striker was there as well.
And man, just hearing Jim Ross again on announcing, you realize what they're missing because he could just fill in the gaps of what you're supposed to be getting out of the match and what the storyline is all about. Just so much better. And Michael Cole, I don't know if he even says the names of moves other than the finishers. So it's a totally different approach. And, I feel like we're in sort of that 95, 96 era again, where you don't really, this isn't really good and something has to come change. And so maybe we're on the way into a new attitude era or something like that to get it better, but it's definitely stale right now. But like you said, we'll tune in and watch every week. But you're right. I agree. NXT is the best. Definitely. If you're going to watch if you're going to take an hour a week to watch wrestling, NXT is what you should be watching.
Absolutely. I guess the last thing you can really say is I don't know who's really running the ship as far as what gets talked about, how many times it gets talked about, is Triple H focusing on the what's the word you'd be the synergy. It really is. What is he focusing too much on synergy, or somebody else focusing a lot on synergy? Because this whole we got to talk about the workout DVDs. We got to talk about the network. We got to talk about whatchamacallit on E. It's just we need to get back to the fact that this is a wrestling show. We're putting on a show, and these characters are interesting, and we're going to tell you how and why you should think they're interesting as well.
Definitely.
So that's really what they need to get back to what it is. It's a show. Put on a show. Don't sell to me. Sell me the characters, not the other products that you have going on. So yeah, I think that's pretty much where we're going to stop it on this inaugural podcast, which is the Geek Things podcast. So Tony, where can they find you? You're on the Twitters, right?
I am on the Twitter, as Chris Jericho would say, at Tony5NY, number 5, then NY. You can find me on Twitter. Same on Instagram if you'd like to see pictures of my Blue Yeti mic that I just purchased to do this podcast. And that's where you can catch me. What about you?
Well, as I hope everybody knows, I would be at geek_things on the Twitter. It should be the same on Instagram, geek_things. If not, it's Geek Things, whatever. Geek Things Podcast. Just search Geek Things Podcast. Please give us a like on iTunes. This will be on iTunes at some point. Give us a like on iTunes. Review it. Good or bad. Let us know what you like. Let us know what you don't like. We're hoping for this to be a bi-weekly or whatever we can do. I mean, my schedule is pretty wide open, but some other people have a job, so I mean, to be honest with you, I'd rather it to be at the most bi-weekly, because you got to get content out there, and that's what I want to do. That's what we want to do, is put on a good old fashioned slobber knocker of a show for you to love, listen to, and enjoy on your commute to work or whatever it is that you're doing. So again, for Tony, go ahead and say bye, Tony.
Goodbye, everyone. Thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you soon.
And I am Lewis, or Geek Things, as I'm talked to or spoken about on the Twitter/Twitch universe. Have a great day, and have a geek tomorrow.